3, 4, 5. Just let me know when I'm live. Six. Oh, hush. Alrighty, sounds like I'm live then? Yay, I'm live. Hello, everybody. Good day, good evening, good night, good morning. Ohayo gozaimasu. I'm GhostKumo, and this is East 9, Monstrum Nox, the latest game in the East series. I'll go ahead and get us to the title screen. So, welcome. Apparently we are in the end of the Japanese games block, which is slightly amusing because this is actually the same company that made Faxanadu, which is going to be a little bit later in the schedule. This is a game by Nihon Falcom, as you can see here at the bottom. They have been making RPGs since before Square, actually. The East series dates back to 1986 and has been going strong for 30... I guess we're in year 37 now. But to give you just kind of an overview of this game, because I'm going to have extremely little time to explain the plot of this game. Also, this game has a lot of references to past games, which will kind of be lost to viewers of the newest one. I will not be going over that too much. But the basic gist of this game, so most games in this series we play as this red-haired man by the name of Adol Kristen. He is an adventurer who goes around getting himself into trouble a lot. In fact, so much so that he arrives at this prison city, which is designed very similar to ancient Rome, and gets arrested for having been on too many adventures. That is a bit laconic and oversimplified, but it is not wrong. So yeah, we're gonna start off the game by breaking out of prison. So, I'll go ahead and get started when I say go. It's gonna be on once I press confirm on this input here. Go 3, 2, 1, go. I seem to have forgotten to load this first dungeon, so that costs me a couple of seconds. You can actually preload the dungeons if you load a save file before you start your run, because this game has a bit of a weird way that it's cached, but that's fine. Just a minor time loss. Alright, so we're breaking out of prison. You're going to see this quite exaggerated dodge roll. We're going to get something a little bit more quick later, where we tack into a dodge roll cancel. But yeah, the somersaults in all the East games since East 7 are pretty comically exaggerated. So now we need to pick up a weapon and complete this little tutorial section here as we break out of prison. Thankfully, all the cutscenes in this game are skippable, so we turn what is otherwise like a 30 to 40 hour RPG into, like, world record's 37 minutes. But most of that is due to the fact that this game is really busted. So we transform here into this alter ego called the Crimson King. This is Adol's monstrum form, a unique mechanic to this game. Which exists for story reasons, which I won't really have a lot of time to go over. But as the Crimson King, we have access to this ability called Crimson Line, which is this long-range dash ability. So here we're doing an attack roll cancel. It's slightly faster than the normal dodge roll, and you'll hear a, like, voiced grunt. Alright, so into the combat. This is the first tutorial boss. I want to get off as many hits as I can with the skills that I have on the bottom right. They're the skills that I have, which can be bound to the 4 face buttons, but they use a certain amount of SP, which is the little blue meter on the bottom right. So I haven't really touched too much on difficulty. Difficulty in this run really doesn't make a huge difference. Mostly because on higher difficulties, we just do an item duplication trick on an item that levels gets us a free level up. So the distance between this game's hardest difficulty and easiest difficulty isn't really that significant. Alright, so now we're just flashing back. As soon as we arrive to this town, we get arrested. Okay, the game didn't crash, so the cutscene can sometimes crash the game. Don't know why that is. But yeah, so we've been in prison a few times across this series, Adol specifically. So he just kind of knows how to break out of prisons. It's a strange skill to have, especially for a man who's saved the world more times than people give credit for. Alright. Skip a bunch of scenes, and we have broken out of prison. So earlier on, you saw Adol took up an alternate form. We're going to take up another one here. Because Adol's kind of has a reputation as Adol the Red, is kind of the nickname that he has, we're going to just dye our hair black. It's going to look kind of bluish, but we need a disguise. So we're just going to get a scarf and go full emo to be undercover here. Alright, so this place right here is going to be our hideout later on in the game. But for now, it's just an abandoned building. Alright, so now we need to explore our town, find out that we have been declared wanted for having escaped from prison. And then the town is going to go turn into Twilight here. If you're familiar with the Dark Hour from Persona 3, it's kind of like that. Get taken to this alternate dimension, and we have to defend the prison city with these strange band of 6 weird-looking OC-type characters. I like some of them. I even have an emote of one of them, but we won't be seeing too much of them until, or we'll only be seeing about half of them. So this game has like 8 chapters. We're currently in chapter 1, and this is going to be the very last chapter that we do at all intended. Because this game, as the estimate might suggest for an RPG, is extremely broken. So this right here is a raid, as we tend to call it. It has a different name in this game, but it borrows from Ys 8's raid mechanics, which I heavily recommend playing Ys 8. I like Ys 9, but Ys 8 is my favorite in the series. I haven't really touched on these mechanics, but there's 2 mechanics in this game called Flash Guard and Flash Dodge. If you time the guard button right after you, or right before you're set to get hit, you get a few seconds of invulnerability. Come on, doggo. Just rushing straight for my crystal here. So I get a few seconds of mini crits and damage invulnerability here. Alright, so that's the end of the first and only raid section that we're going to be seeing. A lot of these raids get really annoying, which you would see in like a glitchless run in this game, but we're not doing a glitchless run. Because that would be like 3.5 hours. Alright, so I got perfect rank, which is going to get me a Tempest Elixir, which lets me get 1 level up. We'll use that a little bit later. And then a Life Elixir, which it's supposed to increase our max HP by a fairly small amount, but that's not really going to matter for this run, so we're just going to use it for money later. Alright. So now on to Chapter 2, which we are not going to complete normally. Slightly faster to jump upstairs, for the record. So anytime I'm running upstairs like that, you'll see this kind of weird, like, repeatedly dashing animation. So we're going to find out that we can't get out of town. Spoiler, we can, but normally that's not supposed to happen until Chapter 4 or 5. And the glitch to get out of town would technically save time if we could get it at all consistent, but we struggle with consistency, so for the sake of this marathon, I'm not going to do that glitch. I'm going to just do a different one. So we're just exploring around town, trying to find out more details. We can't leave, so we need to, figure more of our surroundings out. Gonna set this up as a warp point, and we're gonna go to this wealthy company here called Pendleton. I'm gonna go here a couple times, but come on. Fucking NPCs in this game is hard for some reason. Alright, so now we're just going to go through the shop tutorials and then utterly break this game. So I can't transform to my Monstrum form just yet in town, but pretty soon I'll get the ability to do that. And as soon as I do, that breaks the game. So that guy sells me armor, we don't need to worry about that, because we're barely going to be buying any as is. This guy sells me, or gives me a bottle here, and he lets me get medicine with these bottles. That's not going to be very useful, so no worries about that. We come to the agricultural district, and we find out our next destination is over here, which is a path into the sewers, which we're supposed to go into several times. But we can't go into the sewers just yet because of a barrier. So we're just going to go completely break the game now. Alright, so we go up to this building, and we can get up to this ledge here. The game wants me to go east here. I'm going to make a quick save here, because if I screw this up, it's really bad. 3 dashes, an attack, and a roll, and I just jumped over an invisible trigger, which is supposed to keep me from entering this part of town, the shanty town, which is where most of Chapter 2 happens, but because I skipped a single thing in the game's sequence, pretty much everything in this game sequence is set to not load properly, so, like, triggers that prevent me from advancing the game just don't load. So we're just gonna break the tar out of this game. Alrighty, I need to kill these 5 enemies here. And that's going to put 20 points into my Nox meter. Normally I'm supposed to fill that up to 100 to advance the story of the game, but I just need 20 to convert into an item for later. Alright, so normally I'm supposed to have the third party member of the game for this part, or second party member, but we're just going to skip into this... Oh, crud. I'm like doing this wrong. There we go. So I'm supposed to have White Cat who can run up walls. She's the second party member you get, hence the chapter's named after her. But we're not going to do that. Unfortunately, we miss out on the really cool dungeon theme here, but we're going to use some weird camera tricks with Crimson Line to just completely skip doing this dungeon remotely as intended. Oh, the heck? Alright, so this is supposed to be where the end of the dungeon is, and this is normally how we're supposed to get into Balduke Prison. Balduke Prison is kind of the center of this town. Like, the central feature of this town. It's a very corrupt prison. Like, the people who run this prison are just kind of terrible. But since we got here without doing the dungeon as intended, all the things that are supposed to keep us from navigating it are just not there. So I've messed this up, and this can lose a little bit of time, so I'm going to make a quick save here. Alright. So all the triggers keeping me from navigating around this prison are just not there. And this is important because we're supposed to come back through here several times throughout the game. So this part of the dungeon is not actually supposed to happen until I get to the end of Chapter 4. So I'm in the Chapter 4 portion. So yeah, we just sequence broke the ever-loving crap out of this game. But the next thing I'm going to actually do is break it even more. Because as it happens, there's a floor panel on the ground here that, if I time this correctly, I have opened... Okay, that's bad. Alright, we'll try that again. Sometimes I just need to save and load. Dying there's not too bad, because I already have a little save flag there. I'm level, like, 5, and this is like a level 30, or 20-ish area, so everything kills me in one hit. Alright. Make a save. So I have opened the menu and jumped down to the same button. If I wait till then, and then I warp to town, and then as soon as the warp is done, I hold down the map button. And you're going to see the game kind of like lag here for a little bit. And now I can fully maneuver in my monstrum form. And what this has done is it's gotten rid of all the barriers in town. So yeah, we've just broken the main town of the game, which is normally supposed to be, like, segmented pretty harshly. So I'm just doing that to set up a point for later. We're gonna go back into the prison, and the cells that I was in earlier, there's a treasure chest there, which is where we're supposed to find, like, an important item for a doll, which is one of the other of the 6 monstrums and one of our other party members. You'll see her more later. But she has the cool hat. But the sequence here is what ends Chapter 4, so instead we're going to use this to end Chapter 2. This game has been busted since the start in the Japanese version. So, off-screen we set up the our hideout, which is we're kind of just moonlighting as a as like a bar, like just a hangout, just hiding in plain sight. Whereas all the cool people stay in the basement, and we're supposed to break a whole bunch of people out of prison, because the prison in this town is very screwed up. So we're just supposed to talk to a bunch of NPCs here that we set up as friends. So this is why I got the 20 points of Nox here. I need to convert those into a certain amount of materials, which I'm going to use to make an accessory. Also, that's Dogi. He is Adol's longtime friend. You'll see him a lot throughout this series. He's a good guy. Yeah, big shoutouts to Mabo, who found a lot of really big glitches in this run. So this is just us meeting our band of people who help us out. The girl we talked to there later, or earlier, is going to be a party member, which you'll see very soon. Alright, so next up... I did this wrong. Next up... I'm going to dash over here and convert the items that... Oops. Convert the items I have into money, and then buy these figs. These are a low HP revival item, which is going to be incredibly useful. Now, this guy here is going to sell me the violet glove in exchange for the materials that I converted from the Twilight Shards. And this makes me do poison damage. Alright, so next I need to go do the silly little panel cutscene storage trick. One more time. Adol dies in one hit. I'm gonna just make a save. Land on the panel. Yep, I died. Yeah. Thankfully this resets enemies. Alright. So I need to wait till it gets down to a certain point, open the menu. And I have to do all this in a very short time frame. This time I'm not going to hold the map. I'm going to actually let this cutscene play out. We're going to see all of the human forms of our Monstrum characters. This is a very late cutscene, but we need to let it play out so that we can initiate this next cutscene, which we can skip. And this triggers the scene. This triggers the scene in which I get Bull, who is the 5th party member, also known as Yufa, which is the girl in our bar. I need to cancel out of this menu. It's really important. So, yeah, now we're in Chapter 5. We have a level 30-ish party member. So next thing we're gonna do. You can head over to the entertainment district again, and there's this wall that we're supposed to break down with Yufa's unique ability. Now, normally we don't actually have access to our character's abilities, despite having advanced the game state to later on in the story, so by doing this here, we now gain all of the abilities of my other party members, which includes the ability to hover, the ability to climb up walls, the ability to see special things, and then okay, make sure I have these equipped, and break stuff with Yufa's Valkyrie Hammer. Alright, so we're gonna do this one more time. This time I'm gonna actually use the map. And we're gonna just go straight to the end of the game now. We have everything we need to beat the game. So I can hover now, which is really cool. Turns out you can actually break the hover by binding jump and roll, I believe? Forgot exactly the inputs. And switch to the same... come on. And switch to the same input. So, in getting Yufa to the party, we also get Anemona, who is also known as Doll. She's in this weird glitchy state where she doesn't show up in our menu, so if we mess around with our party in the menu too much, we can just delete her. And that's really bad, because she's the same weapon type as Adol. And if you have two characters of the same weapon type, they do bonus damage. So yeah, these enemies here are like level 80 or like 70. So this is endgame, which means we are doing absolutely pitiful amounts of damage. So this is where the Violet Glove comes into play. All of Yufa's attacks inflict these enemies with poison, who happen to be weak to it. So as it turns out, poison is useful in an RPG speedrun sometimes. You'll also notice like there's an orange meter on the bottom right. That is my boost. I can convert boost into what's called an extra skill, but I can also just use it for a huge defense increase while it's up. And because I'm repeatedly killing these enemies and like doing damage, it doesn't drain that fast. Come on. You're going to see me doing a lot of spinning and a lot of Valkyrie Hammer. Valkyrie Hammer gets me a ton of SP if I hit enemies with it. And it uses about 60% of my SP meter to use the spin ability. So, yeah. This enemy right here is like resistant to strike damage, which is what Yufa uses. So I really just kind of have to rely on poison for this part. Yeah, so you see Jado in chat. Thank him for breaking a lot of the stuff in this game. he's done a lot to break this game and help figure stuff out. Like, when we first found out how badly Mabo had broken the game, we didn't really know how he did like any of the stuff that he did, so Jado helped kind of reverse engineer it. Okay, that's bad. This is why I bought 22 revival items. So there's 6 waves of enemies here, and it's mostly just using the same skills over and over again, but there is kind of a delicate dance to it, so it's a little bit more skill intensive than it might seem. Flashcards are also just good in general to get on this fight. For the crits and hit resistance, basically. Alright, so we're on the last wave. This fish enemy is like the worst to try and poison. So you'll notice there's like a little bar underneath their HP. That's their poison meter. If it's fully red, then they take the most damage. Oh gosh, I wasn't hitting this guy enough. Yeah, I went from level like 32 to 47 here. I did buy an item that increases my EXP. I should have switched out of characters there. I just let my extra meter. No, I didn't. So you roll faster if you have boost. So that's why I did it there. Alright, so this is basically the path to the final dungeon. There's 3 more mobs that we have to clear. This guy can just stay still. It's easily the most annoying one to try and kill. Also has not gotten hit with any poison, which is just unlucky. Alright, so now I can advance. I'll see a line in the script here that I really enjoy. Yeah, it's the one after this. It doesn't matter if you set the game to Japanese or English voices. I don't think. It's not really anything that suggests that it matters. I just kind of leave it up to preference. I did Japanese for this run just on account of you're gonna hear a lot of voice clips back to back to back to back very soon here, but we'll get to it in a bit. All right, so now I can advance a little further. I love this line in the script here. Look on the top right. We've been through a lot together. It's always funny when I hear it in English, because it's like, we have been together for all of, like... My timer says 25 minutes. Oh god, I got hit with Confuse here, which is really bad, because it just reverses your control scheme. So I'm gonna switch characters here, because I don't want to be burning my boost right now. So this spinning disc enemy is the worst. Alright, so I got him poison at least. Alright, so that's it for the final, I want to say Ascent, but I'm not sure what it's supposed to be. Alright. So now we're into the final dungeon for reals. And now we can run up walls, because we have every character's special ability, including White Cat. So this is an extended jump ever. As I mentioned, you bind character swap and I believe jump to the same button, and repeatedly press the swap button. So I'm gonna climb up here, and then this slowly gets us enough height that we can run up walls like this. So this allows us to kind of circumvent the descent that happens with our glide. I'll explain that accessory once we get towards the final boss, but we're gonna just like skip a huge portion of the final dungeon right here. Alright. So this time I have Crimson Line and Menu open to the same button. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now we're out of bounds. Every time you open the map, the game advances by a few frames. So we just kind of use our dash animation. We kind of just save in the middle of our dash animation that we kind of buffered with the menu. There's a slightly faster way to do this, but we're basically gonna just out of bounds hover all the way out to the end here, and this saves like at least 20 seconds of movement in exchange for being annoyingly difficult. Alright. I've been buffering this pretty well, so we will be getting the trick successfully first try, which is very nice. Cool. I know, the old turbo strat sucked. Yeah, Jad was mentioning an old annoying strat. So I need to set this war point because we're going to be leaving the final dungeon here in a second. So I'm collecting some resources, and this is because my current weapon is very not good. Side note, I love Doll's dodge roll cancel animation here. It just looks like she's just rolling. Alright, so there's supposed to be these, like, 3, like, warp holes here to these, like, weird void areas that we need to clear to advance the game. We're only going to do one of those, and by do one of those, we're going into one of them because there's an item that I need to create, like, a really strong weapon for the endgame. Alright, I don't think I have the stamina for this, so I'm just going to take the backup strat. It's a little unfortunate. There's a risky strat that you can do here. Okay. Guess I'm not doing that either. But over in this treasure chest is an item that I can use to help make the best weapon that I have access to. And we're gonna warp back to the back to our base here and talk to this kid who we were supposed to have saved in chapter 2 but didn't. He's the son of a blacksmith, so he's normally the kid you're supposed to talk to like get a bunch of stuff. And he can use this blueprint that we got in the final dungeon to make one of the best weapons in the game. We can make up to 6 of them in theory. I think there's a limit in the actual game, but yeah. So I have all the resources I need, and I'm going to make it for Yuva, who is our best character right now. Alright. I'm going to remove her armor, because I actually want to take damage, and then give her... I did give her the weapon, right? Okay. Alright. Back to the final dungeon. Alright, once again, we're going to open the map, and... Crimson line on the same input. So I'm going to listen for an audio cue. 2, 3, 4. Make a save, and then load partly through my dash animation, and we've clipped through the barrier. So now I don't have to do the rather long sections that would involve like 3 boss fights. And we can just go straight to the final boss. Yeah, the final boss takes up like the last like quarter of the run. We've barely done much with combat. Alright, so make sure I get my extra EXP, because there's 2 phases of this fight, and then we'll level bull once more. Alright, final boss time. So, I picked up an item called the War King's Cape, and that effectively, if I'm at 1 HP, my damage is doubled, so that scales depending on how low my HP is. So I actually want to sandbag this first part of this fight. So I'm intentionally taking damage here to lower my HP, so that I can do more damage. Because this fight's an absolute doozy. Okay. You're gonna see me spamming 2 things here. Well, 3, really. Occasionally Valkyrie Hammer, but mostly just spin and extra skill, because these are my 2 strongest skills, so I apologize for your ears. I did intentionally take that hit, so that lowers my HP down to 100, which is more or less the most efficient way to get the max damage benefit. And now, you might be wondering, well, Ghost, you're playing this on easy, so clearly, like, I'm getting bonus SP and boost meter from just repeatedly spamming these things. As it turns out, Boost and SP are just stupidly easy to replenish on all difficulties. And yes, the game does tend to go quiet here. Like, the audio balancing in these games is not the most well done. Falcom games have historically been difficult to port. Get the second boost. Okay. Okay, I got the 2 crits there. I was able to like buffer my flash guard animate or my flash guard time to get 2 crits. So that's good. All right, this should kill the boss here. Nope. Okay, this will. There we go. Alright, so that's phase 1 down. We got a bunch of EXP, so we get an extra level because we ate the cheese gratin. And now on to the final boss, and in true JRPG final boss fashion, it's kind of a weird, void-looking thing with multiple phases, multiple wings to look like a fallen angel. The key thing I want to look out for is when he drops these, like, stabs on the ground. Because that is, that is the attack that does the most damage to me right now. This is about the only JRPG final boss that comes to mind where how much time you save or lose is partially dependent on whether or not you get the attack that kills you the most. Alright. So. Alright. Like, you actually want to see him use his most damaging skill. It's one of very few like that. Alright, so... Oh, I didn't kill the spire here. Alright, next up, I'm gonna get up here. And then I'll just extra here. Alright, so that's phase 1 of the fight down. Phase 2 is up at the top here. Now, I apologize to anyone who may or may not be colorblind, but the trick to this second phase involves me using Doll's special eyes. I think it's called Evil Eye, but I don't remember exactly. It allows me to see special things here. So he has these 6 spires on his back, and I need to hit the correct one, which I can only see using her power. Unfortunately, her power makes the screen kind of hard to look at. This isn't the best. Still one over there, and I can't dash to it. Come on. Alright, now I can turn this off. So now the boss is exposed for his weak point. Virtual Boy mode. Yeah, kinda. That didn't hit me. I was trying to get hit. You suck, boss. Yeah, this boss is not particularly well designed. Cool imagery, though. Don't know what happened there. Oops. So I ran out of stamina there, which means I can't Crimson Line. Okay. Then I just need to repeat. Just hit the 6 spires over again. And now the boss is vulnerable again. This is unfortunate. So he never got me till 100 HP, which meant that like I was never able to do maximum damage. Alright, this should kill him. There we go. And that's the final boss. Flashing light warning, there's going to be a lot of flickering white light here in a second. But yeah, so that's basically the final boss. Time is going to be at the end of the credits, which I will skip later. I need to hit this egg here a whole bunch of times. Don't worry about any of the text here. It's all stuff that makes sense if you played the other games. So we're just going to sit here and repeatedly jump and stab this egg. But yeah, once you see the, like, the more I damage this, it's going to eventually, like, explode. And then that releases a whole bunch of white light. So there's my flashing lights warning. If the last boss, you know, wasn't bad enough to look at. Yep, just want to say thanks all for watching. I'm just going to kind of get into the, I guess, end portion of the run here. I like this series a lot. It's one of my favorite series of all time. Shoutouts to the Falcom speedrunning community, the East speedrun community. Shadow and Mabo, we've already shouted out for the work they've done with this game. But also shout outs to like Lost and Impinge, who both did a lot of work on this game pretty early on, like before it came out in English. Also, there's two Dogies. Shout outs to two Dogies, because the game still thinks we're in chapter 3 because we just finished like a chapter without having beaten all the other ones. So there's two Dogies in the final area here. I'll warp up to the Pendletons. It's the only bit of fast travel that I'm able to do right now. And then, yep, this is the part where you just say goodbye to all of our friends that we've made along the way. Of course, you haven't met most of them because we broke the tar out of this game. But yeah, as has been getting plugged in chat, please do stick around for the rest of the marathon. Consider donating to Stollery. Cancer's a... I know far too many people who have either died or lost loved ones to cancer, so... Especially, like, this is for Children's Hospital. Alright, so time is going to be coming up here very soon. I will let you know. 3, 2, 1, time. Alright, my timer says 43:55, so... Yep, there we go. The in-game time was 41:48. In-game time we don't really track, but that's not bad for a marathon run. I had my share of mistakes, and this is a hard run to solo commentate because there's just absolutely ridiculous amounts of APM and just things to explain. I only hope I can communicate a fraction of like what goes into this run. But yeah, thanks all for watching. Please do stick around. Please do consider donating for Stollery Children's Hospital Foundation. It wasn't cancer, but I do have a close family relative who was in the hospital from like year 1 of his life, and seeing kids in the hospital like go through life-threatening conditions it's hard, it's traumatizing, it's difficult, and anything that can be done to alleviate that a little bit for somebody else is something that would mean a lot to me. So, but I'm gonna get out of your hair. We got plenty more runs for the rest of the day here. I heard we might be getting a little bonus. Mega Man X is the next run on the schedule, and then as mentioned, 3 runs down from now is Faxanadu, another game by this developer back in the NES days. So, yeah, definitely stick around. All right, that'll do it for me. Thanks all for watching.
I hate doing that, John.